All right, let's jump right in with a deep dive into a personal account of a medical crisis.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty unbelievable, honestly.
Wow.
We're going to be looking at chapter 6 of this book,
Okay.
where the author kind of recounts their whole experience in the ICU
Mhm.
after getting hit with this life-threatening illness.
Yeah, it's really a fascinating look at how medicine and just the human experience kind of come together.
Yeah,
I think in this deep dive, we'll be uncovering all the different medical challenges the author faced,
right.
the impact of all that, and then the long road to recovery as they, you know,
Yeah.
woke up to a reality that was totally different than what they knew before.
Yeah, so the author starts out describing these 2 weeks
Okay.
where they were totally unconscious, a
Mm.
complete blank space in their memory.
Oh, wow.
And, it's not like forgetting where your keys are or something. It's
Yeah.
more like 2 weeks of your life just poof,
Gone.
just gone. Yeah. And during this time, the family is getting these updates from doctors
Oh, God.
that are just dire,
Right.
and they can't even see their loved one.
Oh, that's awful.
Can you imagine just that feeling of helplessness?
I can't even imagine.
And then it gets even more intense because we find out
Yeah?
the author actually went into cardiac arrest
What?
twice while they were unconscious.
Oh, my gosh.
So talk about a fight for
Oh,
survival.
wow.
And the author even hints that this whole experience transformed their heart,
Mm-hmm.
but beyond its purpose as a functioning organ.
Oh, wow.
Makes you wonder what kind of profound changes they must have gone through.
Yeah, I mean, near-death experiences like that,
Yeah.
they can really reshape your whole perspective.
Absolutely.
Like your values, everything.
Totally.
What exactly caused all this?
Right.
This medical roller coaster ride? Well, the author was diagnosed with meningococcal meningitis.
Okay, so we're talking about a serious bacterial infection
Right.
that attacks the lining of the brain and the spinal cord.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't stop there.
Oh, no.
The author also developed septic shock.
That-
Septic shock,
So
yeah.
think of it like your body's immune system
Okay.
is trying to fight this infection,
Mm-hmm.
and it just goes into complete overdrive.
Overdrive, yeah.
It's like,
Right.
a firefighter using a fire hose to put out a candle.
Okay.
The force is so strong, it causes more damage than the initial problem.
Oh, I see.
And that's what happened in the author's body.
Wow.
Their blood pressure just plummeted
God.
as their organs were being starved of oxygen.
And if that wasn't enough,
Right.
the author also developed Waterhouse-Friderichsen syndrome.
Yeah.
This is a really rare and severe complication where the adrenal glands,
Okay.
which produce these,
Essential hormones.
really essential hormones, they basically shut down
Yeah.
because of bleeding, meningitis, septic shock,
Right.
Waterhouse-Friderichsen syndrome.
A terrifying domino effect.
It's like a domino effect.
That can be fatal
Absolutely.
if it's not treated immediately.
And it's incredible that the author even survived this. It really
It's
is.
amazing.
So the chapter goes on to detail all these cascading effects
Right.
these illnesses had on the author's body.
Yeah.
Like we're talking leaky blood vessels.
Okay.
Some even bursting,
Oh, my goodness.
which disrupted the blood flow and oxygen delivery.
Imagine like a garden hose
Yeah.
with a bunch of holes in it.
Okay.
The water, instead of going to the plants,
Right.
it just sprays everywhere,
Yeah.
depriving them of the,
Yeah.
what they need.
Body nourishment. Yeah.
That's essentially what was happening inside
Oh, gosh.
the author's body.
It's a crazy thought.
And remember, this is all happening while the author is totally unaware
Right.
their body is fighting this silent battle.
It's just crazy.
Then you have the swelling of the brain and spinal cord,
Mm-hmm.
which risked permanent damage and paralysis.
Oh, wow.
And with organs shutting down,
Yeah.
conversations start turning to these really grim possibilities.
Right.
Colostomy bags, dialysis,
Mm-hmm.
potential blindness, hearing loss,
Gosh.
even amputations. It's heavy stuff.
It is. The family is just facing this onslaught of bad news every day.
It's hard to imagine.
It really highlights the contrast between the author's unconscious state
Yeah.
and the intense reality that was happening all around them.
Yeah, absolutely.
But amidst all this, there's a glimmer of hope.
Okay.
After 2 grueling weeks,
Yeah.
the author stabilizes the
Right.
medical team through this meticulous balancing act of medications
Mhm.
and blood transfusions.
Yeah.
They managed to get the illnesses under control.
Oh, that's amazing.
It really is a testament to their skill and dedication.
It really is.
It's a fragile stability, though,
Right.
with the author still incredibly weak and vulnerable.
Yeah.
And there's this,
Lingering.
lingering concern about potential morphine addiction.
Right, which is pretty common.
Yeah.
for patients needing that heavy sedation.
Yeah, it raises some important questions
Uh,
about the long-term effects
Yeah.
of these life-saving interventions. But even in this precarious state, the author's body keeps fighting.
It's amazing. Yeah.
They're still on a ventilator,
Mm-hmm.
but their condition is showing improvement.
Those small victories are
Yeah.
so important.
They give everyone hope.
Yeah.
And with that, the medical team realizes
Okay.
that the author's recovery is
Yeah.
going to require a much more extensive
Okay.
long-term plan.
A long-term plan. Yeah.
Then comes this pivotal moment.
Yeah.
The author's taken off the ventilator.
Wow.
Huge step.
Right.
But they remain in critical condition,
Okay.
closely monitored.
Right.
It's both exhilarating and terrifying.
It is.
This return to breathing on their own.
I can imagine. I know.
Yeah, the road to recovery is daunting,
Yeah.
filled with unknowns.
Yeah.
But at least they're not alone in this fight anymore.
Right.
Family visits are finally allowed,
Oh, good.
although with strict sterile precautions.
Okay.
I can only imagine how emotional that first reunion must have been. But because of all the protective gear,
Yeah.
the author can only see people's eyes
Mm-hmm.
and hear their voices.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a stark reminder of their vulnerability
Yeah.
and a totally new way of perceiving the world.
I bet.
This dependence on eyes and voices is significant,
Mm.
especially when the author mentions a childhood lesson
Okay.
their mother taught them about their eyes.
About their eyes.
A lesson that'll apparently play a crucial role in their recovery.
Oh, that's interesting.
It makes you curious, right?
It does. It does.
What was this lesson?
Yeah.
And how will it impact the author's journey?
Mm.
We'll have to hold on to that thought
Okay.
because we're going to be exploring it in depth as we continue this deep dive.
Sounds good. Yeah, it is fascinating how the author is forced to adapt, right? To rely on these little cues, these eyes and voices to connect to their loved ones.
Yeah.
Makes you think about how much we just take our senses for granted.
It really does. And
Yeah.
then the chapter goes on to give this detailed table
Okay.
that outlines all of the author's diagnoses,
Mhm.
the causes, the symptoms,
Yeah.
treatments, even the prognoses.
Okay.
It can be a bit dense,
Yeah.
but it really helps you grasp the complexity of what the author was dealing with.
Yeah, it's like a medical textbook coming to life
Yeah.
through this personal story.
Exactly. For instance, it explains how meningococcal meningitis is caused by bacteria
Okay.
that infects the lining of the brain and spinal cord,
Right.
leading to those scary symptoms
Yeah.
like fever, headache, stiff neck, confusion.
And remember that domino effect we talked about?
Well, yeah.
Well, if the infection spreads to the bloodstream,
Yeah.
it can trigger sepsis,
Okay.
the body's extreme and oftentimes harmful response to infection.
Right, like that firefighter analogy you use.
Exactly.
Where the immune system's response ends
Yeah.
up causing more damage
Yeah.
than the infection itself.
Exactly. And that brings us to Waterhouse-Friderichsen syndrome,
Ah.
where the adrenal glands, the ones responsible for making those essential hormones,
Yeah,
they're so damaged by the infection
right.
that they can't even function, right?
So you have this whole chain reaction,
Yeah.
meningitis leading to sepsis,
Mhm.
which then triggers Waterhouse-Friderichsen syndrome.
It's a lot.
No wonder the author's body was on the verge of shutting down.
Yeah, organs starved for oxygen.
Yeah.
Hormones totally out of whack.
Yeah.
Like, it's bad news.
It's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
The chapter also gives us a glimpse
Okay.
into all those medical interventions the author had to go through. They talk
Mhm.
about their blood vessels leaking,
Yeah.
some even bursting,
wow.
which would severely impacted blood flow throughout their body.
Yeah, think of it like
Okay.
a network of roads suddenly full of potholes,
Yeah.
like even some complete washouts. Transportation becomes a huge problem.
Right.
Some areas might even be totally cut off.
That's a powerful analogy.
Yeah.
And that helps explain the swelling of the brain and spinal cord, which could have led to lasting damage or even paralysis. It just makes you realize
Yeah.
how quickly things can get out of control.
It really underscores how important early detection is
Totally.
and aggressive treatment for these infections.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The author also mentions those tough conversations with their family
Yeah.
about the potential long-term consequences.
Yeah.
Colostomy bags, dialysis, the possibility of blindness, permanent hearing loss,
Wow.
even amputations.
It's a lot.
It's a heavy list.
Yeah.
And it really shows how serious their condition was.
It's hard to imagine the emotional weight of all those conversations.
Everyone, right?
Yeah, for everybody.
And through it all, the author's unconscious.
Right.
Completely oblivious to everything.
Totally unaware.
Yeah, the battle raging inside their body.
Yeah.
And in the hearts of their loved ones.
It's like there are these two separate realities happening at the same time.
Right.
You know, the silent struggle inside the author's body.
Yeah.
And then the outside world just grappling with all the fear and uncertainty.
Right.
But also, you know, that hope.
And it makes you wonder about the author's mental and emotional state once they do regain consciousness.
Right. How do you even begin to process that?
All that missed time.
Yeah.
The trauma.
The decisions that had to be made on their behalf.
It's a lot. That's a question I think we'll explore more as we keep going in the chapter.
Okay.
But for now, I kind of want to shift gears a bit and talk about that childhood lesson.
Oh, yeah.
That the author's mother taught them about their eyes.
The one that's supposed to play such an important role in their recovery.
Yeah, what could it be?
Right. Some kind of secret language.
Yeah.
A way to communicate without words.
We can only guess right now.
Yeah.
But it's clear this lesson means something more to the author.
Yeah. It makes me think about the power of those little moments in life.
Right.
The ones that don't seem important at the time.
Right.
But end up shaping who we are.
Yeah, maybe this lesson is the key to unlocking some new level of understanding for the author about themselves and their experience.
It's possible.
It's possible.
Yeah, it reminds us that even in those tough times, there's always these little gems of wisdom and strength just waiting for us.
So as we keep going through this chapter, let's keep their mother's lesson in mind.
Right.
Maybe it'll help us figure out the mysteries of the author's recovery.
Absolutely.
And understand that deeper meaning they find in this whole experience.
Totally. Yeah, it's like we're putting a puzzle together.
Right.
With all these little pieces, glimpses into the author's journey.
Right, like medically and emotionally.
Exactly. And now it's like,
yeah,
okay, how does it all fit?
Right.
What does it all mean? What can we...
Yeah, what can we take away from this as listeners?
Yeah, for me, it's this powerful reminder of how quickly things can change.
Yeah.
1 minute you're fine.
Yeah.
And the next you're facing, you know, death.
It makes you appreciate all those little things.
It really does.
We take for granted.
Yeah, those simple things.
Like just breathing on our own.
Right.
Walking, recognizing our loved ones.
Right, all those things the author had to relearn.
After waking up from that coma.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It also shows how resilient the human body is.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, the author's organs were failing.
Right.
Their brain was swollen.
Yeah.
They were so close to death.
And yet, they fought back.
Yeah.
The body just kept going.
It's amazing.
And eventually started to heal. It's really remarkable.
And we can't forget about modern medicine.
Oh, of course.
The doctors, the nurses.
They're the heroes.
They worked so hard to keep the author alive.
Yeah, all those medications, procedures.
That meticulous balance.
Yeah, it's a testament to what they do.
Their skill, their dedication.
It really is.
But it also reminds us that even those life-saving interventions can have those long-term consequences.
Yeah, like we saw with the morphine.
Right, the potential for addiction.
Yeah, a real concern for patients who need those strong painkillers.
For so long.
For so long, it's a tough balance.
It is, you know, saving a life, but also thinking about what that life will look like.
What it means for their future.
Exactly, and then there's the psychological impact.
Oh, absolutely.
The emotional impact.
Yeah.
To wake up in this place you don't know.
Right.
Can't move, can't speak.
Surrounded by machines and strangers.
That's got to be terrifying.
It would be so disorienting.
To slowly figure out what happened.
Yeah.
To realize you've been out for weeks.
Weeks of your life just gone.
Your body's been through this trauma.
And the thought that your life might never be the same.
It's a level of vulnerability.
It is.
And uncertainty that I don't think most of us can understand.
I can't even imagine.
And we haven't even talked about the author's family.
Right, their whole world turned upside down.
Weeks of not knowing.
Yeah.
Making those tough decisions.
On someone else's behalf.
Just waiting.
Hoping.
Hoping for the best.
There's support and love, though.
Yeah.
I bet that played a huge role in the recovery.
It makes you think about the power of human connection.
Exactly.
Those bonds that help us through the really dark times.
It's powerful.
What about that mother's lesson?
Oh, right. The lesson about the eyes.
Do you think it holds some key to understanding?
I think it's got to be important.
Yeah.
Maybe it was her way of, you know, giving the author strength.
Like something she taught them early on.
Yeah, or maybe it was a way for them to connect.
Yeah.
Even when they couldn't really talk.
It's like this symbol of hope, right?
Yeah, a symbol of hope.
Even when things are so hard and you're not sure what's going to happen.
There's always something to hold on to.
Something to believe in.
As we finish this deep dive, I'm just in awe of how strong the human spirit is.
I know. It really makes you reevaluate what's important.
And priorities.
And appreciate life.
It really is precious.
We might never know all the details of the author's recovery or what that lesson really meant.
But this deep dive has given us a lot to think about.
It has.
It really has.
It reminds us to cherish every moment.
Yeah.
Find the good, even when things are tough.
Be grateful.
And to never underestimate the power of connection. And the strength we all have inside.
Absolutely.